Welcome to Beyond Dragondom, from wherever you are listening to today. The weekly episode channel for fantasy adventure stories. My name is Lesley. I am the author, the creator, and the narrator of Tales from Dragondom and Beyond, and Aisha's adventures through quantum time and space. Aisha Portal to Dragondom is the first in the series. I hope you enjoy the episodes as much as I enjoy writing them. If you are listening to me on my YouTube or podcast platforms and would like to leave a like, or would like to know automatically when the next weekly episode is live, I understand you can do this by pressing the follow. Shall we join Aisha now and her friends in her adventures in Dragondom and beyond? Episode 5. Audience with the Elven King. A flash of aquamarine light lifted the space, and on getting my eyes back in focus, I found I was standing instead in a large, beautifully ornate room. Milana, sweet child, you're home. Yes, father, I'm home and well. I heard her running across the floor even before my eyes had fully focused. Welcome to my home, Aisha, of all that is. I am eternally grateful that your earthly avatar awoke in time to release my dear daughter and her eternal friend and mentor. Please accept my hospitality and come and join me near the fire. I believe there are things that we need to discuss at some length. I hadn't noticed, yet there it was, large of life behind him and Milana, as they stood arm in arm looking at me. The warmth I felt was not from those flames that rose into the chimney, but from their hearts joined in mutual love and joy. He was a young man to look at. I would have said, in earthly years, I would have put him in his early 30s. But I knew that that was not true. He was elegantly dressed in trousers and a high-collared shirt, with a long tunic, all made in the same silvery material that was like gossamer to look at. It looked similar to the finest silk back home, yet almost opaque. There were no lines on his skin, and his steely grey eyes had a gentleness to them, as did his voice inside my head. He was maybe 6'8" in height, and his daughter tucked closely under his arm, quite literally. He smiled. We had both been doing the same, weighing up the other in a way that was not intrusive, but yet allowed each to measure the other in some way. My earthly mother had always said first impressions were all important. I smiled to myself. Come, Aisha, no standing on ceremony here in our home, for you and my daughter are as one with each other. Thus, it could be said, you also are my daughter. I moved over and joined them, and we sat on the long sofas that surrounded the immense fireplace, with its intricate carved wood struts and mantel. The light from the fire danced across the carvings of animals and birds, of trees and flowers, and made it look alive. Urdos, come, please talk with us, for I believe from what Milana spoke of earlier that we may be in for some trouble in Dragondom in the near future, depending, of course, on how rapidly word reaches those who wish to cause trouble about the release and safe return of those needed to fulfill the prophecy. Then he looked at me and vocally spoke. Oh, forgive us, Aisha. I forgot that vocal speech may be easier for you. It is not a problem for us to use it, if you prefer. In fact, maybe it would be preferable, as that will not be so openly entered by others, even if they get through our shielding. One can never be too careful, even here. He turned once more to the palace head of security. How far ahead has the news travelled of the return of my daughter? Has it reached outside this zone of Arionel? Or do we still have some breathing space before we need to go into action? Word has spread from the Dragon School and probably within the main zones of Dragondom. However, we have some time before it reaches out as far as the secured sectors and the trading post. Milana's father nodded, and then he turned to me. Please, can you tell me what you know of the ones who aim to prevent the fulfillment of the prophecy laid down aeons ago, as to the return of complete balance within the all that is, and the discovery of those who thrive to bring the pain, slavery, and the power of darkness to so many? He paused and looked at me sadly. Yes, we are aware, more than you probably know, about what is done for so long on your own Earth. Sadly, Earth, Gaia, has been drawn so far from the collective consciousness and the peace we all normally abide in, that the strain to regain herself has been long and hard. You see, while all physical worlds have duality, no one had the free will to the extent of your world, hence the imbalance, and that manifests there. We, the elf community, and other elementals and the dragons, as you probably know, were unable to stay in such heavy vibrations, thus left the physical there for 300,000 years of your linear time ago. He shook his head and now gazed into the flickering flames as they danced in the fireplace. We have continued our work with other new planets and systems and have our main bases here. Yet we know that while you have helped bring this first part of the prophecy into finalization, the next chapter could lead to many worlds being infested if it is not stamped out as it leaves your galaxy. Aisha? The voice I knew so well filled my head, yet no one else seemed to be aware. No, they can't hear me. Stop worrying, or they will sense something is not quite right. Do not let them know all you know. This is in part a test for them to see how advanced you are. It is not time yet. I cleared my throat. Forgive me, Your Highness, if my etiquette is not correct. What I know is only what I have learnt in my life on Earth, and via those who guide me. Basically, only that dark forces do exist, and that when captured in humans, they can be removed, if absolutely necessary, by the celestial warriors of light and placed in crystal holdings, where they have a chance to think over their ways and return to the balance. I also know that the dragons have been called back in to assist, with not only the galaxy around Earth, but also much further out, as they alone have the ability to see any lingering, hidden darkness in any heart. Many other light warriors fail in this, as they are looking for the light and the goodness on the rise. I paused. I came to the call of my heart and the call of your daughter's heart. We had to become whole, and I was sadly almost too late. For that I beg your forgiveness. He waved his hand as if dismissing the thought, and beckoned me to continue. It is my belief, our belief, that once it is known that Milana is returned and is unharmed, then it is possible that agents of some form will be sent to cause harm, either to her or to myself, for one, now less powerful without the other. I also, and correct me if I am misunderstood, I believe that both of us, along with many others, are due to play a part in this final section of the prophecy. It may be small, yet Within the all that is, we each have a part to play. Without all, there is no completion at this time. Yet another time in the future, the whole will be replaced and replayed until completion is achieved. He looked me straight in the eyes. Yes, ye have been taught well, earthling Aisha. Yes, it is the truth. Yet it is hoped that this time it will go full circle and not fail. In your world, in the year you call 2020, we both, the elementals and some sections of the original Dragon fraternity, have once more returned to your planet. As yet, very few are aware of this, but as the veils thin, so more will reach a higher and more open, balanced consciousness, and be able to see that we are real and not the things of myth and legends. He paused and smiled slightly. From first reports back, while the Darkling have lost most of their power, and those on planet in many ways have been isolated from their galactic masters, the cleansing has not yet ended, and some have escaped, and now roam looking for ways to stop the following and forward progress. I smiled, looking directly at my host. Well, it would seem that now is the right time to stop looking at the dark possibilities and instead create the scenarios that we wish, to ensure the collective and the collection of the balance in the all that is, the reinstating of the harmony, for, lest we forget, dark thoughts bring dark deeds, and it is well that this conversation is kept close and not allowed to corrupt the peace and harmony there is here in Arionel. I looked around in the silence and noted that all eyes in the room were on me. Then Milana's father burst out laughing. Well, I wish you two did not have to go, but, my dear daughter, you are sure you have not yet introduced Aisha to the High Wizard? For the life of me, if I closed my eyes, I would hear his words coming from her mouth. He stood and opened his arms to embrace us both simultaneously. Come, let me walk with you to the exit. I think it would be wise. You are not seen just yet. May I suggest that you both go to the High Wizard tomorrow? I have a feeling he is expecting Aisha and will want to start her studies as quickly as possible. There has to be a reason she has been asked to remain, apart from us wanting to thank her in person for her releasing of you, my dear Milana. And so we left, going the same way as we had come, but this time alone, with just Eurydos. This time, however, when we left the vortex at the other end, we were not far from the castle. The sun was still above the peaks, but it was dipping fast, and so it was that we returned to the castle and Sartina in plenty of time, and no one was any the wiser as to what had transpired. Going up to my room to take a little quiet time, I wished to tune in to those who guided me. I felt the need. There was always a sign that there would be a message or a question that I must think on. To be honest, I also needed to clear my head. Things were running fast, even though I felt I was here for a reason. Even I had no real idea as to the why. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and will join me again, Lesley Laws, at Beyond Dragondom, either on podcast or YouTube, for another weekly episode of Aisha Portal to Dragondom. And so from me, for now, I wish you all goodbye.